A program that GRP has started along with ACAD and CDKN as a part of the Resilience Knowledge Coalition. So I think my voice is breaking. I'll switch off video and probably speak. Can you hear me better? Is this better? Yeah, great. So I was just introducing June and Velina. Very happy to have them join our team. They started out as young experts with the Global South Talent Pool, and June is now Junior Officer for Youth Engagement, and Velina has joined us as Junior Officer for Programs. So very happy to have them on board. I can see we still have people joining, so I'll probably wait for a few more minutes and I'll try for my video. Very happy to see some familiar names and also some new names in this session. So welcome everybody. All right, I think given 4 minutes, so maybe we'll start the session. I can see we have 18 people. So I'll start the session and we'll welcome and introduce the rest as we move on. I just wanted to, I'm Shuchi. A lot of you might already know me from various events, but I will give my introduction for those of you who don't. I lead the Resilience Knowledge Coalition, which is a network of networks, and I have a brief presentation on this. So the coalition is a network of networks that we launched in January 2021, and I have a brief presentation, so bear with me. Just give me a second as I share my screen. Yep, I think you can see my screen. Thank you. Yeah. So I am lead of the Resilience Knowledge Coalition, and I work with the Global Resilience Partnership. Just a second, Adiba, can I request you to admit people so that I'm not keeping a track of admitting people. Is that okay?
Hello, can you just...
Hi.
Only join conversation, closing sessions.
Can you hear me? I can't hear you, Adiba. You're on mute. Yeah.
Can you repeat, Suchi? Yeah.
I said, can you, so I can see participants are are part of the waiting room. Can you please keep a track of that? I'm just ensuring that I don't have to keep a track of that as I am presenting.
Yes, Zoom team is working on it. So you go ahead.
Perfect. Thank you. Perfect. Thanks. All right. So I've kept my video off because I think there's some signal issues at my end, but I will try and switch that on again. So as I was saying, I work with the Global Resilience Partnership, and we work on advancing resilience for communities in the face of change so that they can cope, adapt, or transform in the face of change, all within planetary boundaries. Some numbers to tell our story. We were founded in 2014. 1,300 organizations have connected with us in various ways, either as grantees or partners. We have 64 partners, 44,000 plus social media followers, and we've trained about 60,000 people on various training. And in our first avatar, we also implemented, supported implementation. We didn't directly implement, but we supported implementation of early warning systems and supported 7 million people and invested 35 million in through challenges. So our mode was to work on challenges. We've built on these lessons and basically we work with partners across, as you can see, the organizations across the board, ranging from southern or regional partners to private sector and public sector organizations. Our areas of work, we work across knowledge, innovation, and policy, three work areas. And the coalition, kind of the Resilience Knowledge Coalition, cuts across knowledge, innovation, and policy, in the sense that we work towards putting knowledge into use through building capacities and strengthening capacities of youth and grassroots actors, innovators, through leadership, through mentorship, sandbox of tools, through knowledge brokering, support through events, amplifying voices across events, and we are here to cater to demands and needs that are generated from the Southern-based experts. So that's largely where we're focused, and we have about 620 members. That's updated. It says 560. We're now 620 members. You can join us here. I will post this link in a bit, or I can request Willina and June to post this link to the form in a bit. And we work across these areas in a few ways, and I'll talk a little bit just to give you a sense of what we do with respect to resilience measurement through this slide. So we're here today to take your inputs for our work that we're doing on resilience measurement and evidence. Now, we realize that this field is fairly niche and is only recently developing into something that is needed. And as funding for adaptation, loss and damage, resilience increases, we increasingly feel the need to understand what is success, what is failure, how we work across the board on what resilience means. And this year is especially crucial because we have the Global Goal on Adaptation and the GST review, the Global Stocktake review that will end at COP28. And there's already a lot that a lot of our partner organizations are doing, including the Adaptation Research Alliance, which is a partner network, and CDKN are working on and GCA are working on how we ensure that the right kind of evidence gets into the Glasgow Sharm el-Sheikh. So our work has contributed to the inputs that they've given. Yeah, so just to talk about our journey on adaptation and resilience, we built on the successes of the resilience measurement evidence and learning community of practice, which transitioned into the Resilience Coalition in 2021. And from there on, we've had multiple events, including at Gobishona. And last year at Gobishona, we did a consultation and a review of what exists on resilience measurement currently, what are the tools, and how do we understand resilience measurement. We then went into a huddle at Washington, D.C. with about 50 odd measurement experts. But we want to broaden that conversation, and we had a consultation report that we published, but we want to broaden that conversation. We came out with a few publications, a few blogs. I also wrote something in the GCA Stories on Resilience, which was launched along with ACAD at COP. And we've also on the side been working on, and we've been building on evidence from the ground. So we have initiatives called the Voices from the Frontline, and now we're doing resilience perspective stories. So all of these add up to the kind of evidence we have from the ground. At the same time, we realize that resilience measurement and evidence are fairly top-down approaches, and we want to hear from all of you how we can deconstruct what measurement is and what evidence exists, what does success look like, what does failure look like, and who influences those decisions. We're doing this so that all of this can feed into an event called the Evidence Forum. Can I request June to share the link of the Evidence Forum in chat? There's an event link that's posted on the GRP website. We basically want that this event is a touch point to the Evidence Forum. Now, the Evidence Forum is happening in June in Cape Town. So we welcome all of you to sign up, show interest. We have an early registration form up. And we're keen to have as many of you to join online, if not in person. We'd be very happy to have you in person. We're looking at 200 to 250 people in person, but join us online if not, if you can't make it to Cape Town in June. So that's where this event is. So pretty crucial in the sense that we're trying to build and design what the Evidence Forum looks like. We have a few tracks within the Evidence Forum, and this will directly feed into community-led resilience measurement approaches. So we're looking at how does, and we recognize that Gobishona is the space where we can capture this sentiment around what are the needs of communities, what does success look like on the ground, what are we hearing from LLA practitioners in terms of success, failure, and the different tools that they use as evidence. So that's where we're at right now, and that's largely the context. And that's my presentation. With that, with that, I welcome you back, and we want to start conversations. I will hand over to June now to take you through a Mentimeter. Please feel free to put your videos on, but we recognize that you might not want to, but definitely do ensure that you're keeping this conversation interactive. So June, over to you with the Mentimeter.
Thank you so much, Shuchi. Welcome everyone to today's session, interesting session. My name is June. I work together with Shuchi. And yeah, I would like to start the session with a sort of like a warm-up or an icebreaker to set the mood so that when we start the conversations, we already have ideas of the things that you're going to talk about. So I would like to ask 2 questions, and these questions are just like general things that you can, you don't need to really think very deep. Just think of a word that comes into your head when you think of this word. So for the first question is in one word, when you think about measuring or tracking success, what are the things that come into your mind? Just one word that comes into your mind when you think about measuring or tracking success in your activities, in your projects, you can give examples of how you do it, but in one word. Yeah, so yes, please go ahead and who is Vilina? I would like to request if you could send the link to the chat. I've already shared. You can click, you can go up after it's written, you can go to www.menti and then enter the code, or you can click the link that has been shared there. Is it okay? Is it working?
It's working.
It's feel free to just put any word that comes into your head. This outcome, yeah, and impact, yeah, this, yeah. Impact indicators. Wow, yeah. When you think about measuring it, think about indicators. The scale, measuring, yeah. You also think about evidence. What evidence is, yeah, to show that this has been successful. Acceptance. Oh, that's an interesting one. Money. Money to measure and track. Acceptance, and that's interesting. People, exactly. That's a very important thing. Maybe give 1 more minute for anyone else to add their thoughts. The output, yeah, the output of your project, that whatever you measured, that's interesting. And, there's monitoring and partnerships. That's very important. Also progress. When you measure or you track something, you have to see like this progress. Okay, we'll go to the next one. Sorry. Apologies, my internet is letting me down. There you go. Use the same link on the next slide. So the second question is, how do you think we should track our adaptation actions in communities so that we can know the impact that you are making? You can also say this in one word. Like when you just think about, okay, we are going to track our adaptation. How do you think we should do that? What are the tools maybe that we can use? What are the people we should talk to? Like, how can we do it? What are the processes? Feel free to use the link that was shared in the next slide after that. Is it working? Any thoughts on how we can track? Visual stories are nice, interesting. Change of lifestyle. Capacity. Evaluation, that's important. Scaling up, yeah. Measuring the sustainability. Test the results, that's important. Check the status, or I would imagine it's improvement or something. Local diversity, yes. Yeah, there's also always remember there's no like wrong answer or right answer. Everything here is whatever we are all just thinking when you think about these processes. Okay, we have one last one. I will share, this is a different one, so I will also share a different link for this. So this is a very like important question, and also important thing that we need to think about. So what are the tracking or stroke measuring challenges that in local adaptation that are in your mind? So when carrying out your activities, your projects, your actions in the local aspect, like what are the measuring challenges that you face? Yeah, and remember, there's no right or wrong answer. We're just sharing what we experience in our project. Add the link in the chat. I hope it's working. Also, like remember that all like different people face different challenges. So some challenges may be unique. So just feel free to share in local trust. Access to data. Yeah, data is very important in all aspects of projects. Looks like two people have like the challenges of data and then understanding the concepts. Later we shall discuss this. So looking forward to hearing what inclusive, being inclusive and ensuring that everyone is part of the process. That's very interesting. And then partnership conflicts. Yeah. Sometimes you might end up having different thoughts with the people you work with. And the vision, that's interesting. Finance, always very important. Understanding the local context. Yeah, you cannot work in a place and just do a project without knowing really what needs to go there or not. Then non-economical aspects. Okay, I think I'm very excited for the next step where everyone will be sharing what the challenges have been and explaining more. Accountability, and the vision. Yeah, should we give one more minute? Someone maybe to think and add more, and then we can give it back to Shuchi. Okay. Looks like there's no more. So thank you so much for participating in this icebreaker. I'll share with you the word cloud, and then we can also discuss this later as you progress with the session. So Shuchi, back to you.
Thank you. Thanks, June. I hope that's got you all thinking. Very very cool session actually, June. Thanks for this icebreaker. Now we actually wanted to break out into rooms, but I think we have only enough people that we can probably speak in plenary, so we can probably continue in plenary. June and Velina, is that okay? Yeah. Could you share the Jamboard and we can go through the 3 questions and have you share yours? So what we basically want to do, like I said, is get your inputs to, and we're using this as a point of contact to design our track on community-led measurement. We recognize that there's a lot of expertise across the board, and people use different ways in which they measure, but not all of it gets captured in both, whether it's policy or it's discourses. Not all of it gets captured, and so we don't see all of it coming up. June, would you like to share screens with the Jamboard? Perfect. And so we essentially have 3 questions, and so if we can start with the first one, it's this one's kind of easy. We want to understand if you've worked on measurement, and if you are actually capturing evidence, then are there any ways in which you've been doing it? Are there any tools that you're aware of? And if you could, if we could have a few people share with us what kind of tools that they've used, that would be super. So it could be, and evidence is also photography, evidence is also art. So it could be work that you've done within creative expressions, or it could be work that's capturing different ways. It could be stories, whatever that is. So we want to hear from you. Or it could even be impact assessments. If you have impact assessments, we'd be more than happy to hear from you what you did, what you found out, and other tools that you may be aware of. Do we see hands? I don't want to put people on spot, but can I, yes, Fareen.
Hello, my name is Farheen Norman Rida. I was actually an intern at GRP Shuchi. I don't know if you remember me.
I do.
But yes, so I'm working at the International Center for Climate Change and Development at the moment, and I'm working as a research officer. Very recently, I have made through one of my projects that we were doing research on, there has been an implementation in Mongla. So one of the ways that we actually tried capturing evidence was through visual methods, and one of our products from the research was a comic book. So I just wanted to share that through keeping track of, let's say we were working on a rainwater harvesting system there. So through different methods, we collected the stories from the people that were actually being helped through this rainwater harvesting system. As you know, Mongla is a very saline area, and they have lots of different issues with finding drinking water and proper clean water. So we tried to find out the people that were being helped through collecting their stories and through visual methods for those stories. We have articles, and we are also working on a comic book for this. So yes, I just wanted to share that.
Thank you. That's super. Would love to hear more about it when we have the time. Hopefully there'll be more time in the session. Yes, please feel free to add points to these sticky notes. You can use the yellow ones for tools, and if you want to use blue ones for any specific specific differences or specific ways in which you can capture evidence, please feel free to use them. And June, if you could also mention Farheen's name against the comic book, so that's helpful when we want to reach out. Farheen Ekad, if we want to reach out at a later point for the evidence forum. Thanks, Farheen. Is that a legacy hand, Farheen, or do you want to add more?
No, sorry, it's a legacy hand.
Worries.
To write on the sticky note, you just click on the sticky note, and then it will bring a place, it'll just prompt you to write. So you don't have to pick the text thing, just click on the sticky note directly. There
Indeed.
was someone who was like,
Yeah,
oh yeah, nice.
thank you. Yeah. And photographs indeed. Was that Sudeep? Would someone want to share more about the photography? Were you the one who typed photography?
Yes.
Yeah, do you want to share more about your work?
Yeah, I mean, photography is like the art that is made for documentation, right? So I think it's the basic thing that one photo is like equal to 1,000 words. So I think photography is the default tool by which way you can document something.
Indeed. And like over a period of time, if you manage to capture the same area or the same intervention, that just gives you a very nice, I've seen some of those where you give really nice sort of photo stories, photo essays of places.
Yeah, indeed.
Great, thank you.
If you cannot add directly to the Jamboard, you can just type it on the text and then we'll add it.
Exactly. Adipa, would you like to speak more about the digital diaries work that you've done? We'd love to hear more about it.
Hi, Suchi. So
Yeah.
hi everyone. This is Adiba. I've been working as a program coordinator at ICAD. So just like my colleague Farhin mentioned, we also did an interesting, we used an interesting method to capture data during the COVID period that is known as photo voice and digital diary. They're just a type of visual method. So the photo voice, if I say the photo voice is the day-to-day life change capturing, like for a particular community, for a particular community people, if you want to capture day-to-day life changes, day-to-day life activities in different forms like adaptational or well-being or health-related activities, that is known as photo voice method. And then the digital diary is used for a particular time for particular people. Like say, for example, if I choose a community of women, I would give the community people a particular time to capture their daily to daily life activities actually. So it's for individual, digital diary is for individual, photo voice is for the whole community. And both of this method actually requires a smartphone or camera type of tools so that they can capture the data.
And is this, just a quick question, Adiba, is this people themselves capturing this, or is it someone else intervening and capturing in their area?
Sorry, I will turn off my camera because I'm breaking up. Yes.
Yeah,
So,
no, I was just asking you if this is people themselves capturing stuff, or is it someone else, like someone from your team going and capturing stuff on ground?
So yes, that's an interesting question. So we also call this method voice of the voiceless. So we, prior to sharing any camera or smartphones to the community people, we have a training. We try to have a training program for them where we invite them, we actually teach them how to use a smartphone, how to capture a photo, or what are the objects that they need to capture in their day-to-day life. The training can be 1 day or 2 days, depends on the community, the size, and their perspective actually, how they are getting the training. So yes, they're actually capturing their activities. So it's a voice of the voiceless people, we call it this method.
That's super helpful. Thank you. Yes, Saqib.
I hope I'm audible, Suchi.
You are audible. Absolutely. Super helpful, Adiba. Thank you. Saqib has his hand up.
Just echoing from some of my colleagues, recently, if people are aware of the impacts that are happening from Cyclone Freddy and some of the other storms that are happening across the globe, many of those places have very limited in access in terms of news agencies being able to reach them. But some do still have some functional phone networks, which is how a lot of the communities are getting by currently. So there was some interesting reports on how some community radios are actually taking WhatsApp voice notes from people as a way of being able to collect stories, as a way of being able to tell people about where supplies are, where they could get further assistance, and other community members that are available where people can take shelter. So that might be an also interesting way of being able to sort of link communities in desperate times where all other sort of access and networks are really not functional. But then, you know, if someone will still try and connect a phone network somewhere and be able to use maybe WhatsApp or any of the other sort of voice note applications that we can try.
Indeed, that sounds very interesting. Also, I mean, we in our first cohort of the Global South Talent Pool, we had this intern who had worked towards building a WhatsApp chatbot for farmers. Again, WhatsApp seems to be a very interesting tool to reach out to. This was in Kenya, and it seems to be a very like the outreach is humongous with WhatsApp. So. Indeed, thanks. And again, to get back information, that might result in a huge database as well. So sounds, yeah, absolutely 100%. I think Khalil had his hand up. Sorry, Khalil, please go ahead. Khalil?
Yeah. Hi, everyone.
Hi.
You know, sometimes we have the challenge of collecting people, or you get the variant information from the group of people. So there you, to our experience, you have to find some common ground, and we found that there's no better common ground than involving the kids of the families, the young kids from the families. And then, if you want to collect them, bring them to one platform, physically or digitally, you have to involve, create some kids activities. Like, I'll give you just one example. After the floods, when the rehabilitation start, you need so much of data. And then, simply by organizing a puppet show, we really were able to get, groups of people at one platform, and then, asking them even indirectly through the puppet show also their vote. And then you get a lot of information by these. Otherwise, when you ask them direct questions, there is some hesitation to answer, and people are reluctant to answer. So these indirect ways really work very well. So maybe, the digital minds should think on those lines to create those digital platforms so that it happens rapidly. Maybe
100%.
gaming or some kind of.
Absolutely. Can we have your introduction, please, Khalil?
I'm Khalil Moghal, and I'm involved in a different initiative from Netherlands for Southeast Asia, and we are actually for profit and for the conservation of natural resources. And when you talk about natural resources, water always leads. So we are providing, the water recovery solutions and the potable water solutions normally vis-a-vis climate change, and also to the affected areas after the calamities.
Thank you very much.
Right now, our projects are running in mostly in Pakistan and Sri Lanka, and some other places. And then we are at the the water recoveries from the sewerage also. So sewerage is a big issue in these areas, and then we do decentralized ways of addressing these issues. So calamities, even if you have the connection to the grid, but you become off grid. So it's better to have the off grid solutions than to have them spend money and then see them breaking and then bringing the off grid solutions. So our emphasis on this.
Indeed,
I hope you have answered me.
Yes, absolutely. And I'm hearing two very crucial points from you. One is the process of collecting data, and I think that's a very, although we are capturing things in a very sort of direct way, but maybe we can put June, Velina, maybe we can put one note on this. And there is something to the point you added around puppet shows as a means to build local trust. It could be theater, it could be puppet shows, it could be unique ways to build trust when community is a source of data, essentially. And the other thing that I'm hearing from you is the typical approach of and a change in approach of grid solutions compared to large scale top down solutions that have been the norm and those have failed. And again, very important evidence that we have across South Asia on this. So thank you for sharing that. And it's I think it's extremely valuable that we take these lessons from various parts of the world, from one part of the world to another. So we may not have the same context, but we can have similar themes. So thank you. So both these points are extremely valuable. Khalil, although I didn't catch the name of the organization that you work with, and I'm sorry to...
We have two organizations. We are offshoots from NetAccess BV in Netherlands. So the local organizations that work in different countries, one is EcoNorm. Eco is from ecology, and then Norm is from norms. And then we have a care field, which is basically a biosafety company. And then we are by default involved heavily into the health sector.
Great, thank you so much.
And if you allow me to add one more point to our previous talk. Actually, we don't blame these souls, at the local level.
Yeah.
The conventional ways, the profit or not profit, and the data is crucial. I understand data is crucial, but then we have really exhausted these people, knocking at their doors when they are into a real trouble, and then asking them different questions. So they are really hesitant to even talk to you. So let's not make them exhausted. Let's be friendly with them and serve their interest and find out the common ground so that we can have really authentic and trusted information. Thank you.
100%. Thank you. And this actually is a great segue. You can keep filling this in. For those of you who can't speak to us now, please feel free to type this in later. We'll keep this Jamboard open. I mean, we will submit a rapporteur's report to ICAD for the sake of this session, but we will keep this Jamboard open to design the evidence forum. So please feel free to type in later as well. The link is in chat. June has shared it already. But this brings us, it's a great segue into the next point that we wanted to delve into a little bit. And we wanted to start with, and I don't think we'll have time to go through all of it, but we did want to kind of start building on what success and failure look like to us. So what does success look like? What does also failure look like? And what are the trends? What are the structures behind it? And what are our assumptions? So I think we can start filling this in already with Khalil's points in terms of success and failure. Around solutions, evidence around off-grid and centralized solutions, and what are our assumptions around it? Also our assumptions around maladaptation are often that it's possibly somebody's fault, or there is a reason why that happens, but there's also lack of evidence, lack of data, lack of trust. We sometimes, and the perceptions around communities that they don't tell enough, or but they are exhausted, is also something that Khalil had mentioned. So if we can start filling that in. Thank you. If you could put this in the trends bit, in the structures bit, the lack of data in the structures bit. Thank you. And the exhaustion of communities in the perceptions, in the people's assumptions, perceptions bit, in the pink one. Thanks. I'm sorry about the background noise if you're getting some from my end. But let's start with the first question. Can, in your spheres of work, in whatever you're doing already, so whether it's water management, I can see a lot of you working on cyclones, on disaster risk reduction, what does success look like to you?
Again, Sushi, if you have a happiness meter, if you can invent it, just check the happiness meter. And the second crucial is the health recovery meter. So if that can be created, and, you can see the graph raising up, then you have done it.
Amazing. Thank you. These are great answers. So can you put this on a yellow sticky, happiness?
I'm so sorry. I tried a couple of times. I could not
that's
do it.
fine.
I'm doing it from a telephone, and I'm traveling also.
Yeah, no worries.
I'm really thankful to your colleague who's doing it for me.
Exactly. I was actually asking my colleagues to put it in. Thank you. Sorry. Yeah, I completely understand if you're on your phone. Adiba, was that a hand up or were you talking to somebody?
Oh, sorry, I was talking to somebody.
No worries.
I'm in the conference hall currently.
Thank you. Those were great points though, Khalil. Thank you. Could you put them on two separate yellow stickies, one being happiness, another being health? And I think these are extremely valuable points that we can take into our work designing the evidence forum. Is there anyone else from people who haven't spoken? I don't want to put anyone on the spot, but this slide might be slightly overwhelming, so please don't read through everything. Just tell us what success, or can you give us an instance of success where you think you measured something, there is an evidence for something, and you see that as success? Like Khalil mentioned, healthy communities, happy communities. Are there instances of success that you can mention? I can give an example from my work. I was working in areas that were drought hit, and this was pre-COVID. And for us, success looked like a rejuvenated river, because groundwater depletion was a major issue there, and the groundwater depletion had dried up a river. So for us, success very much looked like a rejuvenated river. That was what we were aiming for. That was success for us. Farheen, Saqib, since you had mentioned stuff earlier, can I put you on spot and ask you what success would look like in your respective projects, whether it's disaster risk reduction or capturing community agency? I think the CAT team is busy.
Suchi, can I maybe give an example too of what success looks like? So is like interest like gaining more interest from like partners, other partnership, making a lot of partnership as this. That is how I felt like a project that I did was successful.
Indeed, I think that's super valuable. I think that's definitely, and for you that was success. Yes, I can see someone has typed in chat fulfillment and encouragement. Big words, definitely. Fulfillment, encouragement seem like success. Partnership, trust are also success, but do we see those as, I will probably get into the next question to you, June. Do we see that as a trend? Is there a trend noticeable over time? What do you need to do to ensure that that success happens and it remains, or it doesn't just happen as in, like, you have one event where everyone got together, everyone was really happy, had quite a few drinks, was really happy, went back with like arms on each other's shoulders, but were fighting down the road. Right? How do we ensure that that does not happen and it remains as a trend? And what are those trends that we see over time?
I think maybe, I'm not sure whether this is like the right thing to answer, but I think to ensure that that trend keeps on like happening, one of the most important thing that we kept was communication, like over communicating on social media and ensuring that these new partners or people we think would be partners would have to partner with us. We share with them what we are doing, the successes of our projects, the impacts, the outcomes. We keep on communicating with them to ensure that they're up to date with what we are doing, so that if at some point they feel like, oh, this is something that is in line with what you're doing or what we want to do, that they know and they will be on time to react to it or to join. Yeah.
Sounds good. Maybe you want to write that in, June?
Yeah.
Farheen?
Yes, hi. I'm so sorry. I was trying to access the
Don't
Gem
worry.
board, but I'm having a little bit of technical difficulties and I just got disconnected. So basically something I wanted to add was the influence that your project or your whatever you're trying to implement has. So let's say we try to do a specific group. If you can see others trying to do a similar thing, the influence that your project has is something that we track as a kind of success for your project. I just wanted to chime that in.
I think your voice was breaking, Farheen. Could you repeat what you were saying?
Yes, I'm so sorry. I'm just gonna type it down in the chat. I'm having some technical difficulties from my side.
That's fine. Please type it in chat. And I mean, I move to the next question. What influences? And again, since June gave us that example of communication. No, keep it on the same slide. Sorry. June, since you gave the example of success being partnership, while Farheen types in chat, I would like to ask you this question. What are the underlying factors, or what are the structures that would allow for those trends to continue? So allow for communication to happen. What are those underlying structures, in the sense that do you need, is there dynamics of communication between the group? Is there trust? Is there, are these communications positive or not? What were rather those underlying structures to that communication? Was there a hierarchy? Was there a dynamic of power? Was it comfortable? Was it friendly? What was the underlying structure to the communication that you were talking about?
So first we have to understand that the communication I was talking about was mostly like on social media, so Twitter mostly, and Instagram. So for us, like there was no hierarchy. It was just this is what we did. This is the evidence that we have. These are the photos. These are the videos. These are the like keywords that came out of this event or out of this project. This is the number of people who impacted. We sometimes would record some people saying how this is how we were impacted by this project, and then we will just share it on the socials, just with some caption explaining what happened, why we are sharing this, and people just get interested. I don't know if that has answered.
No, I
It's
think
not
that
very
answers.
complicated.
Yeah, that's what I think that answers the question. I think it's fairly flat and informal, right? The structure is fairly flat and informal with social media, right? And I think there's some point that Farheen has made in chat, which basically says that the influence your project may have in the community may itself act as an indicator for success. So if you work with one committee group and other committees and group, indeed, so leverage is also a trend, I think. So rather than it being a success factor, it's actually a trend. You would want, whether it's social media, whether it's work on the ground, and Ibrahim, I'll come to you in a bit. You want leverage, and I think that's what Farheen is talking about. And I think there's something to encouragement and fulfillment and positivity being underlying structures rather than those being success. Those can being termed as success. Ibrahim, if you can unmute yourself and come in here. Hi, first of all, good to see you on the call.
Nice to see you again.
Yes.
I'm happy to be here. Okay. For me, success means that community adopts some decision, and also they use to allocate some resources when you have activity, and in the end also they take some responsibility, because if you have success on your activity or on your projects, they have to, to be part of what you are doing and making decision, and also giving some resource or taking some responsibility to continue the work that you are doing.
I think extremely valuable point. And Ibrahim, you've hit the nail on the head when I was talking about mental models. And a lot of our work, when we talk about it and when we do, that wasn't the case here, and which is why I wanted to hear more from this group. But a lot of our work, when we think of measuring evidence, we think of how we measure evidence and what success looks like to us. And Ibrahim was talking about communities ownership. And I think the key assumption and the key difference, and this is where I was keen to capture some of this. And I think what I was hearing from what you were saying was that the assumption that community will adopt something is dependent on the fact how valuable they think it is. And therefore, at every point in time, the question is two questions. One, whether they have the agency to do it, or whether we're sufficiently building their agency to do that, to adopt a decision, and two, whether it is valuable to them, right? And so these are two assumptions that I think you can put in here, whether it is of value to community, whether that success that we are aiming for is of value to the community, or two, this would be in the pink sticky, please, for Velina or Joan, whoever's typing in. One, whether if it's of value to the community, and two, whether we are building sufficiently communities agency to adopt the decision that Ibrahim was talking about. And I think this is super valuable. Thank you, Ibrahim, for bringing this up. I think we always assume that whatever we are doing is good for everyone else. And like, because we are doing it with good intentions, but often we forget to check whether it's good for everyone else or not. And I think that's where Ibrahim was headed. Thank you. Thank you. I think we have enough here. And again, we'll keep this open. Please feel free to, and this is only to give you a flavor of something called the iceberg model, which is a big favorite of people who work on systems thinking. I personally tend to love systems thinking tools, and which kind of gets at the deep-seated models, mental models or mindsets, or the way we think about things, and therefore tries to change some of that essentially. But that's a longer conversation for another day maybe. But I guess we move to the next frame. Thank you. And Joan, do you want to lead this since? Yes, no?
Okay, so
Thank
in this, I think Shuchi, also our time is ticking.
Yeah, I think we have half an hour now. So, and in that half an hour, we can use somewhat, since we are in plenary, we don't need to report back. So,
Okay.
which is why I've taken extra time. Yeah.
Okay, so in this frame, so here we are mainly looking at when we speak about like tracking evidence and or measuring success, we always have like, first of all, we have the people who decide that we need evidence, who decide that this is the kind of evidence that we want, and this is how we want the evidence to be presented. And then there's the other group of people who are the producers of evidence. So people who go ahead and do the projects, and they like, oh, this is the evidence, this is how this is supposed to be done, this is how this was done, just generally producing the evidence. And then there are those people who are now users of the evidence. These are the people who benefit from the evidence. They use the evidence to do whatever they want to do. So in short, these are the stakeholders for measuring evidence. And so now we would like to go ahead and discuss, identify from your own experiences and your work, who are these people, who do you think are the biggest decision maker, the people who decide that we need evidence, who decide that this is the type of evidence that we want. So those people, we will fill them in the blue sticky notes, and then the one who produces the evidence, we will fill them in the green, and then the one who uses the evidence, fill them in the yellow. And then also overall, we will also have to discuss, so what are the missing spots here? Like, who are the people who are missing? Who are the stakeholders missing in the different categories? So yeah, feel free to unmute your microphone, raise your hand, and say or type in the chat, or even go ahead and fill it in the Jamboard. Shuchi, do you want to lead, like asking people to do it?
Sure. Thank you. No worries. I'll do that. Just typed in chat. I love Ibrahim's background. I can't get my eyes off it. It's great. Yeah, so I mean, Joan gave a great introduction to this. I think we'll break this down for people to answer. And let's start with the first question. In the yellow sticky. Who uses evidence? Like, who are those people who use the evidence that's generated? We talk of a lot of evidence being generated, whether it's peer-reviewed articles or reports, or even comic books and photographs and visual methods that we were all talking about. Who uses all of that? Think about your own method that you're using, whether it's visual or even an impact assessment tool or peer-reviewed journals. Who is the person who's using it? Who's your intended user of whatever you're producing? I can see policymakers in chat. Sudeep has mentioned policymakers in chat. And practitioners, Adiba has said practitioners. Anyone wants to unmute themselves? Researchers, yes, to generate more evidence. Donors, indeed, donors to put in money. We haven't spoken a lot about the money behind. Okay, maybe we go to the next question. Who produces that evidence? Who are those producers of that evidence? Do we have specific groups who, indeed, communities themselves, thank you, Khalil, as users of evidence, definitely. Khalil, did you mean users or as producers of evidence? You can type in chat, that's fine. Users, okay, right. And producing evidence. Sudeep, can you explain what you mean by external witness? Would you like to unmute yourself and explain yourself?
I mean, someone who is not from the community who can see the issues or the solutions from a macro scale. And sometimes when you are part of the community, you cannot easily see the solution or the problem easily. So sometimes it is good to see from the outside, out of the box, and you can generate solution and evidence from that.
Indeed, I think that's a great one. I think that was meant for a yellow sticky though. The external witness, external users, that's actually meant for producers. Velina, is that you typing? Yeah, that's green. Yeah, I can see Mohammad Mezanur Rahman has written small and medium enterprises as producers of evidence, indeed, and project implementers. Thank you. That's, of course, project implementers, whether it's NGOs or CBOs. Innovators, yes, definitely are also producers of evidence of whether something works or not. Private organizations, yes, that's and maybe I give a second. Institutions, can you elaborate on what you mean by institutions? If you can unmute yourself, we invite you to speak, or you can type in chat. Agreed, journalists as well. Institutions where we are going to implement our projects. Yes. I'm not entirely sure I get that. Do you mean project implementers? NGOs, indeed. Is it Rahman or is it? You will have to enlighten me with the full form of PIUs. I'm sorry. Because we might have different names. Project implementers. documentation units, right? Okay. So it could be international organizations. Agreed. International organizations as well. Absolutely. Farhin, yes, your hand's raised up.
Yes, I think under institutions, we can also think of universities because we have universities working on research all the time. So I think that's a good one.
Agreed. And there's also, so Rahman has also added urban organizations like municipalities. Yes, ULBs or urban local bodies. Definitely. Urban local bodies, not open. Yeah, thank you.
Sorry, what local bodies?
Urban local bodies, urban, ULB. Yeah, thank you. Cool. I think I have my eye on the time, and I think we have 5 more minutes on this. Individuals as producers, yes. And by individuals, do you mean communities, or do you mean individuals in journalists, or individuals as journalists or experts, or through FGDs? Indeed, FGDs would have gone in the first question. Anybody. True, actually, anybody can produce evidence. Thank you for that. I think it would be valuable to put in communities themselves as producers. Yes, all stakeholders are producers of evidence. Agreed, 100%. And I think we have the last question, which I think many of these points have also answered to that. So I think we'll move to that one, which is who decides what evidence needs to be produced? Do we have key decision makers in the process? Like, is it researchers? Is it who decides what evidence needs to be produced? Where are the narratives headed, and who decides those narratives? Or essentially, where does the demand originate? Who asks for evidence? Sudeep says NGOs. Sudeep, are you talking about who decides evidence is needed? Yes, right. Yes, NGOs, Sudeep says policy-making units, decision makers, absolutely. So policy makers, decision makers, sorry. Funders, 100%. A big part of decision making for priority for evidence making and evidence building is funders. Financial institutions, business organizations, yes, businesses. Can mention businesses, yes. Anyone else? Are we? Yeah, sometimes external monitoring teams decide what kind of evidence is needed. Yes. Evaluators or monitoring teams. I wonder if entrepreneur gets covered within businesses. Yeah, thank you. Great. And I'm mindful of time, so I'm moving to the next question on blind spots. And I don't think we have many blind spots, but I'm curious about one thing. If you pay attention, and I was reflecting as people were typing, typing in chat. We've all talked about communities as users of evidence. We mentioned that all that we spoke about before this around tools, around mental models. We were talking about communities, decision making, communities sometimes as decision makers, as their ownership, the role of partnerships, etc. But in when we thought about who makes the decisions, was communities a blind spot? Would you agree with that? In decision makers? Can I have a show of hands, please? Indeed, women, but also generally communities. Women definitely, indeed. I think we've skipped out on segregation of who the communities are, because communities are not one monolith as we like to think of them. Indeed, I think a big blind spot was women. I don't get a show of hands on decision makers or communities as decision makers or influencers. Could you put in women as a blind spot? I think Rahman has mentioned it in chat. Thank you. Communities also as decision makers. I get one yes. I'm going to use my leverage as a facilitator to add it. Thank you. Because I saw that as a miss. Thank you very much. I think we can leave this on the screen, and I was wondering if we have any final reflections on this. I'd like to invite you, any of you, to come in and share final reflections and thoughts on this. And if you think there are any specific, specific interesting things that have made you think, made you go, yeah, maybe I didn't think of that in this conversation. Thank you. I don't hear. I think the CBOs has also been mentioned by Rahman. Do you want that to go in blind spots? Do you want that to go into one of the other sections?
Hi, everyone. Shuchi, can I quickly come in? This is Divya.
Yes, please. Hi, Divya.
I'm working in M&E, but more at a corporate level. So this was very interesting to see the challenges you faced really at the project level to monitor and garner some sort of evidence, which finally trickles up to corporate reporting. And then we are often there we say, oh, but like, where's the evidence? And look, I've appreciated really the challenges that are there on the ground, and some of the really directed ideas at community level results harvesting, if we can say that. That was very, very interesting. So congratulations for a great session. And I really enjoyed learning from it. Thank you.
Thanks, Divya. That's great to hear. That was great feedback. Thank you. Also happy to chat later on this and happy to chat later on this and more. We've been in conversation with Anju for a while now. So yeah, we'd love to broaden those conversations into other aspects of work that GCA does. Also, welcome to the Evidence Forum if you can join us. Please do, if you do want to join us, please do leave your email IDs with us somewhere on the Jamboard on the last page.
Shuchi, where would I leave that? I'd love to be able, I'd love to join if possible in person or remotely. Where should I leave that information, please?
Could you leave it on the Jamboard, or you could leave it in chat and my colleagues will capture it? Thank you. Ibrahim, we have you on our emailing list. Thank you so much, Divya. Got it. Indeed, Adiba, we'll share details of the session, and we'd love to share it with this group also. So if you're interested in hearing more from us, please join the Resilience Knowledge Coalition as well. The link is in chat. So just copying some of the email IDs. Thank you very much. Yes, please. We'd love to take a group photo.
Can we do it now or?
Yes, we can do it now. We can close the screen.
Share. So I would like to request all the participants to turn on their camera to have a photo.
Great. I think if we've taken the picture, thank you very much. We really appreciate all your inputs, and we're really pleased. We'll also share our reflections from the session, and June will share some. June, do you want to end this with the Mentimeter reflections?
I was not prepared for that.
But you can, please feel free to end this with, and it's a fairly it's all friends. We've all talked about challenges and spoken about our thoughts. So yeah, please feel free to share.
Yeah, I'm not sure how to go about this, but I think one of the things that I've like a summary of all the mentee reflections, and also from the Jamboard, the main first of all, the first stakeholder in all this tracking and measuring, the main stakeholder is, and the cross-cutting is the community, and also especially when it comes to locally led adaptation. And then the other thing that I've taken note is how success doesn't just, you might think of success as a very complicated thing, but in you see someone has just mentioned just the communities being happy is success. So success doesn't have to be, oh, this is the number of things we did. It can just be the communities went back home happy, or the communities are just, Happy that you guys are around there working on your projects and working together with them. And then also another thing about communities is when someone mentioned that communities are the source of data. That communities are the source of data, which just shows how communities is like the center of evidence. And then yeah, so that's what I would say is my biggest reflection from the Mentimeter. So yeah, with that, I close the reflection.
Thank you so much. And thank you everyone for contributing. For those of you who were listening, we hope this was valuable use of your time. And we appreciate all your inputs. Thank you so much. And we hope to see you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.